Hi, I am Ambi Parameswaran. I'm delighted to be here to discuss with Nitin Seth uh, the story behind the book, which is published recently, Winning in the Digital Age. So, hi Nitin. So, we are all looking forward to hearing from you about how the book came about and what is the book all about. And so, uh, can you give us some glimpse of what do you mean by digital age? Like we've heard of Kali Yuga. So is this your version of Kali Yuga?
Yeah, good morning, Ambi. Very nice to be talking to you. Yeah, digital age, it's your description of Kali Yuga. I don't know about Kali Yuga or Sat Yuga, but it's certainly Yuga. It's certainly Yuga. Yeah, for sure. So, the way the World Economic Forum also describes, different kind of ages, so we are in the fourth industrial revolution, which they also call the digital age, so officially this is the digital age. Yeah. And what does digital age really mean? And I'll describe it at different levels. The first level is that digital age is about the confluence, the coming together of number of different technology trends. Yeah. So it started with this rather shady sounding word smack, social, which was social media, mobile, analytics, cloud. So that was really the foundation of these different technology trends coming together.
There's of course that VUCA, which you liberally sprinkled all over your book. Huh? You should tell us the origin of the word, the acronym VUCA, American War College, right?
That is absolutely right. That's a way of describing what the digital age is. It is describing the characteristics of the digital age. But I still want to complete, the story on what digital age is, because I think that is important. And that whole technology trends is now you have AI and blockchain, cloud, number of things that have got added to it. But this is just the starting point. Digital age is really about how all of us interact with each other, how we consume products and services. And what that has meant is that every business on earth, really needs to now think about it, because the way everybody is interacting is different. Yeah. So in the context of business, which is what I talk a lot about in the book, it means really at a simplest level two things. First is external, how any business interacts with its customers. So how product services are presented, how they are sold, which is the website, portal, so on and so forth. But also internal, how you run your own operations. It could be automated factories, which are humanless factories, which are completely automated, driven by robotics, IoT, all of that. Too, for a bank, your processes getting, this thing about STP, straight through processing. So digital is many, many things. Often it's so big that people look at one aspect of it, AI or blockchain, and say, "Oh, that's digital." Yes, they are digital, but it's a much larger phenomena, and I think it's an apt descriptor for the world we are in.
So, this whole term, digital transformation, is bandied around by everyone. Every company is talking about it, and every consultant worth his salt says that I can help you digitally transform your company. To the extent, there was someone who posted on social media saying, I know Microsoft Excel, I know PowerPoint, and I know Word. So I am going to call myself a digital transformation expert. From your strategic perch, what is digital transformation? Is it just a buzzword, or is it really happening?
No, it is used as a buzzword, but it is also a reality. Yeah, it's absolutely a reality. See, so you mentioned this word VUCA. Yeah, so let's start with that. Yeah, so the world, this digital age is VUCA. Yeah, it is volatile, it's constantly changing, it's uncertain, outcomes are not clear, it's complex, cause-effect relationships are difficult to establish. It is ambiguous, reality is hazy. Yeah, the digital age is all VUCA. So the implication of being VUCA is that there is nothing which is static. Yeah, it's a very dynamic world, and you need to constantly adapt. Everybody needs to constantly adapt. As individuals, we need to do that, and every organization needs to do that. Yeah. Now, so each organization is constantly evolving, is constantly going through a process of business transformation. And in today's digital age, that business transformation is equal to digital transformation. I think that's a very simple equation that I want to lay out there, that business transformation is equal to digital transformation. Now, that digital transformation is a very vast concept. It is not just about applying new technology to change the way you are engaging with your customers, or you're digitizing or automating your internal processes. It has to start right from your strategy. It has to forget strategy. It has to even start before that by defining who your customer is, because your customer is probably changing, and it will then go all the way down to saying that, okay, my organization needs to change and my culture needs to change. So all of these different parts to me are what I would say is digital transformation. But most times companies or consultants or whoever are taking specific aspects of it. It's like the big elephant and the seven blind men. Somebody's taking the trunk and the tail and so on, and say, oh, this is it. But there is a bigger picture. There are multiple aspects that go into what digital transformation means.
Because, just to give you a bit of, also the viewers, a bit of perspective, when I started my life in corporate India in 1979, we were used to, having a stenographer, and we'll dictate a memo which gets kind of typed out and you sign it, etc., etc. And then interestingly in India, we leapfrogged from that good old Godrej manual typewriter to word processors, or rather, we leapfrogged all the way to PCs, and then we adopted email, etc., etc. So there was a kind of a rapid, we were stuck in that manual typewriter for almost 10, 15 years, and then we jumped from there to the IBM PC, and then of course we started using email, and then of course the whole ERP revolution started. Now, so is that early sign of digital transformation, that today you're no longer writing things in paper, it's all kind of happening in some ether, and now it's happening in the cloud? And is that something early signs of digital transformation, or is that too Neanderthal in your point of view?
No, I think all of those to me are not obvious, but to my mind, continuous trends, which are combining, which have resulting in the world we are in today. So the digital world, or the digital age, Ambi, is not just about software. Yeah, it is about the mechanical revolution that happened many hundred years back. It is about the electrical revolution that happened, and then the information age which preceded the digital age. All of these trends coming together. Yeah. So now today, when you get to self-autonomous cars, for example, which I think are a very good descriptor of the digital age. That brings together all of these trends. It is absolutely connected to your story of the typewriter to the IBM and all of that. It is coming from how mechanics, have evolved. It is connected to how, the whole electrical bits and bytes have evolved. So, and convergence of all of this gets you the autonomous car, and which I think is a very good descriptor of, or an example or a microcosm of a digital age product. So that is, the digital age is not, one, or a few unique new technologies. It is not. While AI and IoT and blockchain and cloud are perhaps, there are advancements that have happened, but digital age is fundamentally about convergence of a lot of trends which are happening in the previous three industrial revolutions.
So tell me, what are the challenges being faced by companies? Are companies able to successfully transition from where they are to adopting, like you said very rightly, most companies tend to, it's a bit like what happened to ERP, right? I mean, 20 years ago when ERP came, everyone said it's going to revolutionize business. It came and it failed. And then it took almost 10 years for companies to then understand the full power of ERP and implement it. So are companies successfully understanding the challenges of digital transformation? Are they doing it successfully? What have you seen in terms of examples, successful ones, failures, which you can share with us?
Everybody knows, Ambi, in today's world, everybody knows that they have to go digital. Yeah. So I think the why is not the question. And at some level, what is also maybe understood. The how is a real challenge. And so there are billions, rather trillions of dollars being spent globally on digital, on this thing about going digital or digital transformation. So numbers are shocking. Yeah. So over the next couple of years, $7 trillion are likely to be spent globally on digital. But then the real twist in the tail is that 70% of those efforts fail or don't realize their full potential. Yeah.
You said 70%. You said 70%.
Yeah, some estimates are actually 80%. So I wanted to be a little conservative because.
So, Nitin, as an ex-advertising guy, it warms the cockles of my heart that you said 70 to 80% of this money is being wasted, because we advertising guys have always been nailed to the cross with that old saying of Wanamaker or Lord Liverhume that 50% of my advertising is wasted, but I don't know which half. So now we are finding digital transformation is actually one up on advertising. So
it absolutely is, because there is no company that I know of who's not spending money on digital. Whether it is the SME business or it is the world's like Fortune top 10 institutions. Yeah, but it is. There is a very big gap, between the potential and the reality. So that begs the question: what is happening? Why is this like 70-80% failure rate? And my view is that a lot of the fundamentals of the digital age are very different. Yeah, so it's like on surface, it's like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. It's kind of that situation that you're doing things. Oh, I've set up a website, I've set up app, I have automated, I've done RPA, robotic process automation feels very good, and that's my good deed for the day. No, because the underlying world is changing. That's why I talk a lot about VUCA, that the world is different. Now let me give you a few examples of in more concrete ways how world is different and why this failure is happening. Number one, the customer is very different. Yeah, so customer has always been king, as an advertising guru, that, but customer is now God. It's like younger, less loyal, has a lot more access. Yeah, and with digital providing direct access. Yeah, in all industries and all businesses, the direct to consumer channel is becoming a lot more important. Yeah. So whatever may be the industry, whether you're B2C or B2B or B2B2C or B2B to B2C, B2C is becoming a lot more important. Now that's a very different world here. That's a very, very different world. So if you have been stuck in the paradigm of a very intermediated business or industrial, which many industrial businesses are, and now you have an opportunity of serving the customer directly, or the customer also has an expectation. That's a very, very different mental model. Yeah. Example number 2, data. The volume, velocity, variety of data is exploding. Yeah. Now, again, as a marketing guy, you understand segmentation. You go to MBA, first marketing class, you read Philip Kotler and you read segmentation, targeting, positioning. Yeah.
STP, the holy grail. STP, the holy grail.
So in this world of big data, it is completely irrelevant. So, I was, talking to, one of my clients, who's the chief, data scientist at one of the largest telecom companies in the world. And I asked him, okay, what is your segmentation strategy? And he said, Nitin, I have 140 million segments. What does it mean? That, he has 140 million customers. Now, in this age of big data and real-time systems and AI and all of that, they can identify each of their customers individually and specifically on a real-time basis and change the experience for that customer on a real-time basis. Yeah. Segmentation, as you know, is a proxy because you don't know the customer fully. So it's a proxy. It's an approximation that you're making. But now, when you know the customer specifically, you deal with it. It's like a segment of one. It's a very, very different mental model. Yeah. So it just changes.
I just wonder whether companies are using the power of information. Like, for example, since I do pay close to $1,200 per month for my, 1,200 rupees for my mobile connection, every day I get a call from my mobile operator saying, do you want to add one more number to this? Every day. And every day I tell them, no, thank you. And this has been going on now every day for the last 30 days. I just wonder, we're talking of digital transformation, understanding they don't have a feedback system that they've talked to this customer who has said no, and they continue to call me every day. So, while on one hand, what you're saying is right, 140 million individual customers, I need to monitor every one of them and satisfy every one of them. I need to provide better service to them and understand them. While one hand of your company is doing all that and probably giving, hiring consultants and giving speeches to the board, how we are transforming, there's a completely different bunch of guys sitting there and saying, keep bloody calling your customers every day. We don't care a damn because this guy is obviously in their algorithm, it has shown that 1,200 rupees is a lot of money. This guy's going to go, right? If you don't, this whole analysis in big data, right? I mean, losing customers, so this customer is very high. He knows he's paying 3 times the money he should be paying. And we're going to lose him. So how are we going to hold him back? Every day, call the guy and tell him we'll give you 2 more numbers. Instead of saying, look, something else, figure out what you want to do. But is that a problem that companies on the one hand are talking about digital transformation, on the other hand, they're doing really stupid things?
I think what you are talking about, Ambi, is not a unique problem limited to our telecom operators in India. It's a very universal problem. It's a very universal problem, and it calls to two issues. Yeah, issue number one is that the business rules, the business rules or processes haven't changed. Okay, the underlying data and technology has exploded like by an order of magnitude, but the rules and processes have not changed, and which is my point that the challenge, there is a technology challenge, and I'll come to that in point number 2, but the bigger challenge is the concept of the business, who my customer is, what I'm offering to the customer. The second is organizationally, how I'm organizing myself. So these are methods, are rules, processes have not changed. So you now have, you moved from ambassador to Tesla. But the way you were taught driving has not changed. So you have a self-driving car, but you continue to, and as happens with me, now in the United States, I still have the huge temptation to honk and to hold tight to the steering wheel, though I have no need to.
And to add the other thing, lower the window and put out your hand to say I'm turning right.
See, the second issue, which is a technology issue, is, and I talked about data. And data is in some ways the biggest plus of this digital age. That there is so much data, there is this data deluge, data exhaust, there's so much data being created, which if you harness, you can do wonderful things. But that is also the challenge, Andy, that it is so much that you drown on it. It's like that, water everywhere, not a drop to drink. See, because the scale of data is really going not 100 times, 1,000 times. It is like beyond orders of magnitude here. So that tends to be an issue. That it is so constantly expanding. Yeah, it's like one of those images from one of those dystopian movies, that it's like this constantly expanding hydra, that being able to bring it together so that you finally have some insights. Yeah. So the data about Ambi is there, with your telecom operator. Yeah. But how does it filter through to some insights which can then be translated through like a CRM type of a process? That is a challenge. Yeah. One is that the rule of CRM has not changed. Yeah. The rule of calling has not changed. Yeah. But the underlying insights that are coming, there is also likely a problem in that, because there is too much data to grapple with.
Yeah, it's a bit like, this recent book by, I think, Malcolm Gladwell, Bomber Mafia, talks about how they analyzed the bombers which came back, and they said, where are the bullet marks on the bomber, and then let us strengthen the areas in which we can see the bullet marks. But then they were doing it all wrong, because those are the places where when you get a bullet, the aircraft still flies and lands in Britain or wherever, right? So they said, look, we are looking at it all wrong. We need to see what happens when for those which did not come back, which actually crashed, which means the bullet hit, the places where we don't know. So these three places, no aircraft has come back with a bullet hole, let's say, on the nose of the aircraft, which means what? If the bullet hits the nose, the aircraft comes out. So we need to strengthen those areas. So I think companies tend to look at the bullet holes and like you said very rightly, come to the wrong conclusion. So your data is all there, but you're interpreting it all wrong. The same, I was reading an article about losing customers. How do you analyze? How do you track who you're going to lose? Right? What data are you looking at for tracking the person you're going to lose? And by just throwing more and more discounts at him, you're going to be kind of wasting money if a guy will never migrate, right? So coming to your book, you talk about several steps to successful transformation. Can you take us through those multiple steps to successful transformation? And if possible, give us some examples of companies or even sectors which have done it well, and some sectors which are kind of still struggling.
Yeah. See, I have laid out this, it's not linear steps, but I've laid out this notion of building blocks, that, there are 7 building blocks, which go into successful digital transformation. The starting point is, I call it the new rules of business. It's the conversation that we were having, that a lot of the fundamentals of business have changed. So you need new ways of looking at business, new rules, and we can talk about it. How you think about strategy as an example. Now, traditionally, strategy has been the starting point. You make corporate strategy, then business unit strategy, then you make annual plan, execute it. In a VUCA world, in a digital age, completely wrong. Yeah, completely wrong. Because it's like well-laid plans, don't survive touch with reality. So you probably having a very, very well-structured and long-term strategy is not a good idea. Yeah, that you need to maybe have some agile strategy and then execute. And then, some things work, some things don't work. What works, you do more of. What doesn't work, you kill. You connect the dot, and that's your strategy. So very different relationship between strategy and execution. I'm just giving one example of a new rule of business. Yeah. Building block number 2 is what I call industry maturity curves. That, see, what digital transformation means is there are very specific nuances to each industry, but there are also a lot of common characteristics. For example, earlier in the conversation, we talked about the direct-to-consumer channel becoming more relevant irrespective of industry. And there are many such things. And now you can plot that there are some industries which are more advanced, there are some which are less advanced. For example, the retail industry is highly, digital has really, it's something which we are one of the front runners of digital, or the media industry. The media is completely digital. Yeah. Then you have industries which are maybe further back, like banking. Yeah. Each bank for sure has, a digital presence, website, app, and all of that, but they also have branches. Yeah. Then you have companies which are further back, like life sciences, pharmaceutical companies, still digital is an early notion. Or you then further go back, a lot of industrial or manufacturing oriented businesses which are still early on in terms of embracing the digital paradigms. Now that's a second building block, that okay, you understand what is happening in your industry, and also if you understand who's ahead of you, yeah, and it kind of presents you some insights and foresights on how your industry is likely to evolve. So that's the second building block, which is I call the industry maturity curve. The third is digital technology. Yeah. And the point about digital technologies are that it's not one specific technology, AI or cloud or blockchain. It is really like an orchestra. Yeah, that there are different elements. There are at least 7, 8 elements of it. Yeah, analytics, data, automation, so on and so forth. But like an orchestra, each artist has to be good. So each technology execution has to be good. But it only makes sense if they really come together. Yeah. And that's a very, very key part of it. Yeah. That how does the stack come together? Yeah. The fourth building block is what I call global, global delivery. That digital by its nature is global. The movement, both the demand is global, the supply has to be global. Yeah. That moment you set up a digital business, it is not in a box, it's not in a silo. Yeah. Equally, the delivery of it, the execution of it, there is a lot of technology required, and you cannot really do it without a global delivery model. Yeah. So that's kind of the fourth point. The fifth is around organization transformation, which is to me is the biggest issue. If I were to draw these building blocks to scale, the organization transformation, the building block number 5, will be by far the largest. Yeah, which is now to succeed in the digital age, I need to move with speed. Yeah, the end customer is now become God. Yeah, so how do I reorganize myself to deliver to the end customer and do it at speed? These are massive changes from an organization, how especially large organizations are structured. These are huge disruptive changes. And of course, this is a culture change. Yeah. So that's a very, very big box, how you do it. Yeah. So that's the fifth building block. Now, so far we have talked from an enterprise perspective, but then it is also gets down to the individual. So the sixth building block is about leadership. What is the model of leadership? And for long we have talked about from manager to leader, and it's been a bit of a nice statement. You make it like training programs, but now it's a reality. And why is it a reality? Because look, it's not defined. It's the VUCA world. Yeah. So every leader has to be an entrepreneur who's constantly figuring out, because there is nothing about being told. You have to constantly figure out and then do things. Yeah. So it's a very different model of being an entrepreneur, being a risk taker. Yeah. And then the final building block is this new generation talent, that what are the skills? There are different set of skills that are needed to succeed in this digital age. In a world where so many things are changing, you have to anchor on what is constant. Yeah. And one of and actually the key skill in this digital age, there is something about how building a technology DNA, which is very important. But I think most fundamentally it is about building very strong problem-solving skills, where because the world is so complex that how do you narrow it down? How do you simplify it and get to the core of the issue? Yeah. And also I believe that in such a complex world, which is supposedly driven by bits and bytes, your ability to make the human connection, because that is also very, very, very super critical and ignored. Yeah. So there is this bit about what the new generation talent needs to really do. So these are 7 building blocks. Yeah. These are 7 building blocks. Now, in terms of steps, I'll just say at the highest level that the mistake companies make, Ambi, is to start with technology. Yeah, that we are implementing a technology program, and see, I believe the best marketeers in the world, Andy, are the technology companies. Yeah, because they are constantly able to get decision makers to buy high cost technology, which the decision maker does not fully know that what I'm going to get. Most of the selling and the purchase is driven by one simple fact, which is FOMO. Yeah, fear of missing out.
And this whole thing, right? The shiny new thing. So, like I said, 20 years ago, the shiny new thing was ERP. So everyone went and bought ERP. And like in India, everyone said we need to get internet. So there was one computer which was put in the corner which had internet. Now, what is internet? It is there in that computer, right? I mean, no one knew what to do with it, but it was lying there. And that changed when email became part of norm and people realized that actually internet can be on your table, right? The other important thing, I think what you spoke about, the 5th, 6th, and 7th building blocks. I think you've written in the book as well, right? That I think Drucker said culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I think you quoted him in the book. Now, coming from the company level, I want to now you to address people, right? There are people, executives are very anxious, right? People who are, let's say, 50 plus are almost today worried that whether they'll have their job when they go to the office the next day, right? People in their 40s are wondering, when they will get outdated. And executives in their 30s are saying, look, I have learned all this, but, should I learn Python? Should I know Hadoop? Should I know this? Should I know that? Right? So what advice would you have for executives and maybe even students to prepare for a VUCA world, a world which is going to have continuous stages of digital transformation, which is going to happen to them, their lives, right? What would be your advice to them?
Yeah. Look, this VUCA world, is full of paradoxes. Yeah, it's full of paradoxes. So it's a great challenge, which I think was the framing of your question, but it is also a great opportunity. Yeah, it's also a great opportunity, and that goes for almost everything. Yeah. So to succeed in this digital age, you need to really get your head around the paradoxes that both things are true at the same time. Yeah. Now the digital age, I fundamentally believe, is an age of abundance. I mean, you and I grew up in the age of scarcity. Yeah, and a lot of that is built into
Hold. You're much younger than me. You're 10 years my junior. So I am, in your view, I belong to the Jurassic age or whatever. It's a miracle. It's a miracle I'm able to sit here and talk to you on Zoom. Because I grew up in an age where, I selected my office based on whether we'll get a landline phone in 1 month's time, right?
Which is also kind of gets to the whole opportunity, right? So is the age of abundance. Generally, the entry cost of doing most things in this digital age is low. Yeah. So you talked about yourself that okay, you have adopted to the digital medium beautifully. Yeah. So it's not it's something it's not like that too old to learn new tricks. It's certainly
just to quote that old, I think, whose song was it? I think it was Steve Winwood's song, right? Too old for rock and roll, too young to die.
Exactly. So it is, the change is very much possible. Now, if you say, hey, I want to hold on to my kind of thing, my job or, whatever company I'm working in, then you will be very disappointed. Perhaps next, I also want to mention your book, Spring, and what you talk about, failures and so on. And in my view is that in the digital age, the first thing you have to say is that failure is inevitable. Okay, failure is inevitable. Whether whoever you are, you may be the CEO. Okay, you may be a mid-career professional, or you may be a young professional just starting out. Whoever you are, failure is inevitable. Yeah. So once you embrace that and get that out of your head, then I think then it releases you. Then it releases you to actually, start swimming, start adapting. This digital age, it's the VUCA world, constantly changing, and you have to constantly adapt. Yeah. And if you have that mindset, opportunities are tremendous. This technology the whole point of this technology is that it's very easy. Okay. The technology, it is not about Hadoop and Python and whatever. You don't need to know to code a single line. You don't need to be a coder to succeed, because this entire technology is not about building technology, but is about consuming technology. It is about consuming technology. Yeah. So that's a very, very, even I run a technology company, and our business has completely changed over the last couple of years, from building systems for companies to deploying and integrating systems. Yeah. So this is not about Hadoop and Python. Yeah. Though if you are familiar with it, it just kind of drops that this fear factor. It drops the fear factor. So this is about constant adaptation. For constant adaptation, you need to have this ability for constant learning, and I would say deliberate learning. Yeah, not learning in a general sense, but deliberate learning, that how you go after specific things and build a level of expertise in a relatively short period of time, because the cycle, the half-life of any skill is now very low. Yeah, if a skill had a half-life of 10 years, now it's probably 4 or 5 years. Yeah. Now, and another thing which I would mention is that for this deliberate learning, it's a process, but another very important thing is to drop your hubris. Yeah, because the more successful you are, the more you think, oh, I am King Kong here. I'm like, I really put this thing well. And then you realize that the world around you is changing. And then you say, oh, then you realize that, okay, what you were King Kong at is like less relevant. So that's when the meltdown happens. Yeah. So to me, for learning, dropping off that hubris and this curiosity and humility are very, very important. But look, this is the age of abundance. And the opportunities are remarkable. It's so easy to get out there and start your own business. And to succeed in business or with any idea, it doesn't need to be the biggest, all-encompassing idea in the world. You can pick up one specific customer pain point. Yeah, and I didn't fully complete your question on how do you start digital transformation. Answer is simple. You start from customer pain points. Yeah, from pain points. And this is all about pain relief. Yeah, this is all about pain relief. You start with specific pain points, and you can build something around it. So I think the opportunities are tremendous, but you have to adapt. For that, you have to learn, and to learn, you have to unlearn first.
Yeah, and I think since you said this, let me also plug the fact that in my book Spring, I've talked about how there's a 3-step formula to facing any rejection, any failure. The first is facing it. You should be ready to face it. The second is to process it. When you get rejected, process the rejection. And third, learn from the rejection. Otherwise, you'll keep doing the same thing and you'll be getting the same wrong results. So I think we had a great discussion, Nitin. So thank you very much for walking us through your exciting new book. Like I told you, I found the book a fascinating read, and I think a lot of templates you've given, a lot of charts you've given, make it so much more approachable for someone like me who's not a digital native. So let me also hold the book and let us tell the viewers that whether you're a company trying to understand how digital age is going to affect you, or you're a young executive trying to figure out how to get ready to face the digital transformation, the book is a great read. So Nitin, thank you. I think that was a great conversation, and I loved multiple points here. I've taken notes, and great having this discussion around your book. So thank you, Nitin. And let's hope, like you said, it is the age of abundance, and a new Charles Dickensian line can be written, right? This is the age of abundance, the age of fear, the age of prosperity, the age of poverty, the age of success, the age of failure. It's all there for us, whether we are running a small company, a large corporation, SME, or a multinational, whether you're at a senior level, you're at a middle level, a junior level. The digital age is upon us, and it's up to us to ride this tiger. And you said very rightly, we will fall down. We will fall down multiple times. But the quicker you fall down, the quicker you get up and get onto the tiger once again. So thank you very much. That was a great conversation, Nitin. Thank you, and best wishes.